Good morning. It's Wednesday, April 1st, 2015. This is Tech Talk Today, episode 151. My name is Chris, and no, I'm not fooling. Actually, I had two. Let's be honest. You know this. It's April 1st. I had two ways I could go with this show. I could go all fooling, nothing but fake news, or I could go real news, and then, you can go find all the fooling on your own. So here's what I've decided to do. And I don't know if I'll do this every time, but this year, this April Fools, I've decided I'm going to go with real news for you. I'm trying to sift through all the bogus stuff, so that way if there's one place you go today, okay, what I'm hearing from Chris, this is the real stuff, and everything else I get, that's fake. And if I accidentally slip something fake in, I'll fix it tomorrow. But I went through and I rechecked every story before we went on air to make sure they're not April Fool's stories. My thinking is you're going to find plenty of April Fool's stuff. Plus, at the end of the show, we'll have a little tip of the hat to April Fools at the end of the show. So don't worry, we're not a bunch of curmudgeons, but I wanted to give you one place you knew, one island of salvation in all of the internet chaos to get your news, and that is Tech Talk Today. And so to help me get through that is our Mumble Room. Time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, good news, everybody. The nebulous term cyber attack can now be used to arbitrarily drop down sanctions on whoever does a cyber attack. This is Chris's bitter way of saying that President Obama has signed an executive order that enables the federal government to sort of do on-demand sanctions when they are attacked by a nation, a state actor in a cyber attack, as they say. Now, I'm just a podcaster. I have no idea if this is really a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll tell you one thing. It seems like when you have something like a cyber attack, which is not a clearly defined thing, and we often misattribute these cyber attacks, especially early on. It seems like having something like dynamic sanctions that you can just turn on and turn off when you want, it could allow for politics to get in the way of what would otherwise maybe be a minor issue. Because cyber attacks can be anything from knocking on a port on somebody's firewall to something the scale of Sony, and so I think it's a little bit of a slippery slope. But I'll read up more on it down the road, and if there's something concerning, I'll let you guys know. But that came up today on April 1st. Isn't that wonderful?
But to be honest, they actually already had in place legislation that allows to do military invasion if necessary.
Very good point.
Based on cyber attack. So
yes.
like
Isn't that funny? With the Pentagon, in fact, the Pentagon is already authorized to do kinetic attacks in response to cyber attacks. So if you think about it, like, this is way less aggressive than we've already authorized, but it's just funny because here's why I think this is a bigger deal. The burden of proof before we go drop a bomb on somebody's cyber shelter is way, way, way higher than before we just say North Korea did a cyber attack against Sony and ergo we're doing sanctions. See, I'm in the camp, I still don't believe it was North Korea, at least not directly. Mm-hmm. And so, but the rest of the world believes it was Korea that attacked Sony Pictures, Sony Entertainment. Everybody believes that. The government believes that. Everybody says that. Well, the FBI didn't believe it for a little while, but then they came out and corrected it. So if in that scenario, they would be fully justified to do these sanctions, they probably would never go as far as it was dropping a bomb because the burden of proof before they could do that would be too high, I would think. But this is something that politicians can do to look big, to look strong, to play to their base, Anyways.
But on the other hand, it will also screw their partnerships because sanctions really only work when you have all your partners combined to sanction out.
And there's going to be pressure. There'll be pressure from partners not to do the sanctions unless it's some nation where they don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very complicated.
Is this taking power away from Congress?
I don't know exactly how that. I guess I'll read when I read into this further. I'll know because you're right. It is an executive action. But if I don't know if. Yeah, that's a great question because typically sanctions would be something Congress would do. Maybe it's a temporary thing and then Congress has to act on it, sort of like how the president can temporarily authorize force and then Congress comes back and does a full authorization later. But I added it to my read queue for the weekend, so I'll dig through it. And, I didn't really even. Sometimes this stuff just comes up. It's like I didn't even know this is in the works. I just wanted to follow up because I've been ranting and raving about the Samsung S6. I just think it's going to be one of the better Android phones. I'll just say it, one of the best phones of 2015. And so far the Samsung Edge has gotten pretty good reviews. The Verge, though, came out with the first heavy-hitting anti-Samsung Galaxy S6 review for the Edge. I thought, in all fairness, since I like to be fair and balanced here on the Tech Talk Today show, I would cover the anti-review since I've been going on about how great it is. Essentially, and this seems the most devastating, I mean, for me, to summarize The Verge's review, the Samsung S6 Edge is great, except for the Edge is kind of gimmicky, and it essentially is incompatible with material design and its sci-fi gimmicks, and it doesn't really work with Google's new look. That to me is sort of the most condemning thing you could say, really. It's like, oh, dang, really? 'Cause the whole thing's for looks. But I'm still getting one because if you guys have seen the reviews, the videos, when you scroll content on the screen, you guys, it rolls over the edge of the phone. Okay? So that's really cool. So anyways, that'll be in the show notes if you care at all. I know most of you don't care, but I've been such a fanboy. Well, not really. I'm actually not a big Samsung fan, but I've been really looking forward to the S6, so I thought I'd cover a little anti-news. We talked about just this story a little bit yesterday on Linux Unplugged. The Chromebook Flip is out from Asus, $250, and it has a 360-degree hinge. So it's something like we've seen some of the Windows, like some of the Dell's got some stuff like this. I think Lenovo's got some stuff like this to run Windows 8.1. This is for Chrome OS. And I don't know. You know, when I see something like that, you know what I think of? I think that would make a great kitchen computer. And at $250, I could almost see that. But the one that might have the one that you guys might find to be more interesting is these Chrome bits. You guys see the Chrome bits that are basically like HDMI sticks that are a full computer, and you just bring your own.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Chrome bits?
I think they are probably a better sell than even Chromebooks. I think
Really?
That they will. Yes, because if you think about it, the Chromebook is something that a very few set of people will use. I mean, they have that simplicity, but people are thinking, will it do all the things that I want? And a lot of people only actually have one computer. They
Here's why I
either have
disagree.
a laptop or a desk.
Because the Chromebook, what's nice about the Chromebook, having the C720 for a little while, is it's everything I need, totally ready to go. Keyboard, mouse, screen, all of it ready to go. And I don't need anything else. And I can just grab it, and I know I've got about an 8-hour battery, and that's all. But with this, yes, almost every decent monitor these days has an HDMI port, and obviously every TV has an HDMI port. So you don't need a lot, but there's still just that extra stuff. This requires something.
What about this? What about this angle? You're talking about a user that is tech savvy, understands his needs, and is able to put up, to say that Chrome is the right tool for me.
Yeah.
It's also, it's a fairly inexpensive Chromebooks. Now you have this thing, which is even less expensive.
Yeah, I do like that.
It has to plug your media. It can plug your media,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, you use Chromecast, but not full computer. Then
I like the idea of putting this in my
it's a cheap
pocket.
offer.
Yeah, I could make this work. As a technical person, I could have monitors at each end of wherever my destination that have HDMI ports and Bluetooth mouse and keyboard, and I could make this work. It's kind of a neat
I don't
idea.
even think about the portable thing. I think of, Google TV is a thing, right? So,
Yeah.
and YouTube is a thing, and
Yeah.
when it comes out to consuming your media, Chromecast is something that requires some more tech-savvy stuff. But this is just a computer. You just plug it, and you deal like you deal with everything else.
Yeah.
Plus,
I could see people wrapping their head around that.
it's easier and cheaper.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, good for Google trying it up, and I think these Chrome bits are this is a really interesting area, and of course Linux makes the perfect base OS for that. This is probably just really more relevant to folks in the U.S. or actually, I don't think this is true for the Canada stores. I think in the U.S. the Radio Shack stores, a lot of them are going to be rebranding more than originally thought. Will be rebranding. Sprint has won the court's approval to co-brand about 1,700 surviving Radio Shack stores as Sprint stores. So the positive note to this, because it seems sort of pointless to me, 7,500 jobs will be saved as of this action. So to me, that seems like the positive aspect of the story. 7,500 people won't get laid off. Yay. But man, I think Sprint's about to gateway themselves with this one. I think when you're a company that's sort of teetering, and then you invest in a brick and mortar presence that hasn't really proven itself out anyways, to me, it seems like you're tying an anchor around your neck. And then you look at companies like Ting that are able to be very competitive and keep their costs low because they don't have a physical presence at all. Or, the companies like Amazon even. So it seems like in 2015, when you're kind of having a tough time is that the right time to take on almost 1,800 more stores? It seems like I don't know. But what do I know? What do I know? Well, we'll see what happens. So let's talk about April Fools a little bit. Just a couple of things that jumped out at me. There's so much going on all your favorite websites, of course. I had to give a big shout out, though, to one of my favorites I think I've seen in a long time. And it came from the Gen 2 project. They redid their homepage, quote unquote. And it's just Gen 2 announces a total website makeover. They say today Gen 2 Linux announced the launch of its new totally revamped and more inclusive website, which was built to conform to the CCA web graphics standards. And it's how would you guys describe this? It's like a terminal in a web page, right? Can you? Yeah. Hey, can you
It's
click?
pretty much a terminal.
Yeah. Let's see if we get started. Is it? Yeah, it keeps going too. Wow, they did look at this, you guys.
They do the whole website. That's why it's like I don't think it's just a joke.
And you know what? It's actually usable. This is actually fairly readable.
It's readable, has the contents well laid out. You can find stuff. So
they didn't do the handbook.
I would say they probably should keep it.
They might want to. It's actually really quite classy.
Mobile friendly.
Is it? Does it work on the mobile too?
The FAQ is not.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, did you see at the bottom of the homepage they talk about sending Gen 2 out on floppy disks?
Yes. Oh, I enjoy it. I think it's pretty great. So it's hard to get real news this week or today, but it's still kind of fun.
Well, they did it. The fact that they did it is a true news.
Yeah, I think and I congrats to them. I think that's great. One of my favorites also, and this is going to go in that same category now, is way back in the day Slashdot did OMG Ponies, and they rethemed all of Slashdot to be OMG Ponies, and then they made the OMG Ponies theme open source, so you could OMG Pony your own website. That was one of my favorites. This now goes into that category. You know what? Nobody does April Fools like geeks. Nobody does April Fools like geeks. It's something to celebrate. I'm going to get the hell out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, jblive.tv. Go to techtalktoday.reddit.com to make this show better. And should be in studio Friday, so I'd love to get a few Kickstarters submitted to the subreddit by then. That'd be a great one for our Kickstarter of the week, techtalktoday.reddit.com. If you got one, put it there, and people go vote on that S so I know which ones you guys want to see. Now, I'm going to play a Google, Googs. They've done April Fools for a long time, and they do it right. This is another group that does April Fools right. And this year, they have a new product they've announced on April 1st. Should be pretty compelling. Let's check it out. See you tomorrow.
It was the greatest of inventions that built a nation and brought us, all of us, together. And yet, as we've become more connected, the mail has stayed pretty much the same. It just sits there, in a box, all day. Well, we think it's time for a change. Introducing a new way to experience the mail you love. The good old-fashioned kind that you touch with your hands and smell with your nose. Imagine a mailbox that saves you a trip when nothing is there, or notifies you the second it arrives. A mailbox that learns from your habits, that's never too hot or too cold. Mail for today, with all the things we love about the electronic kind, like smart folders that keep things organized, strong filters to weed out spam, and apps that do more. Imagine mail you can take with you, wherever you go. It's time to free your